No, there's chocolate in it. It's not dog treat. So life update before we even get started. I'm addicted to these. The dark chocolate ones. I've tried the milk chocolate ones. And I'm normally a fan of milk chocolate over dark chocolate. But with the pretzels and the caramel, dark chocolate. And it's apparently got sustainable cocoa. I'm sure there's some legalese or lack of legalese that allows them to say that without being true that they only eat sustainable. So I've been a hot mess for the last few months. And I missed 3 months. I didn't realize it was that long. 3 months worth of like cover reveal, tier ranking video things. And then I was like, there's been a lot of cover reveals, especially in May from what I remember. There's no way I'm going to condense that into a reasonable length video. Instead of tier ranking, maybe we'll do this going forward too. But like, at least for this video, instead of tier ranking, I just went through and looked at the covers that came out. And they're ones that are like, they stayed on my radar or they became a part of my radar from it. Or, you know, I don't know. There's sequels that I'm super hyped about that got cover reveals in April, May, or June. And we'll just, you know, highlight. I figured I'd organize these by months. So we're going to start with April because I am genuinely that far behind. Like, I've gone on a weekend trip to Edmonton. I've gotten both my vaccines. I've had my birthday. What else has happened since I did my last cover? Like, just a shitload of stuff. So, like, this is how I'm catching up and eating chocolate. Okay, starting off with April. First off, the cover reveal for Iron Widow dropped. I was genuinely expecting them to push the release date of this because it was like, it comes out in September and they released the cover in April, which, like, for context, the current covers coming out in July are like, the earliest release dates I'm seeing are like February. Most of them are in April now. So they're like 8-10 months ahead of some of these. And then this was like finally in like April, they're like, oh yeah, this book is coming out in like less than 6 months. Here's the cover for it, didn't you know? It looks hella bomb though. It looks really cool. The book is Pitch's Pacific Rim meets The Handmaid's Tale. It's this like world where women get sacrificed to be used essentially as like batteries for these like super robots that are fighting a space war, I think. And the main character is willing to sacrifice herself to be that battery power, but she's only willing to do it with a certain pilot who she blames for her sister's murder. And despite the fact that she basically should, like, her body is not able, shouldn't be able to sustain it, when the pilot finally crash lands, I guess, whatever, the spaceship after they go out and fight a space battle, the pilot's dead. She's not though. And then she's like considered this Iron Widow and people like are going to try and assassinate her. And then she's trying to find out like why the robots are, for lack of a better term, misogynistics. They very casually, I don't even think it got like a anything on Twitter or anything like that. I just saw it on my Goodreads. But the cover for the Third House Library book came out, The God of Lost Words by A.J. Hackwith. I don't dislike the cover by any means, but I don't know that it matches the other two, you know? Like, it doesn't not match them, but it doesn't quite match them. So I don't know if they got like a new artist for it or something like that. Either way, I plan on buying it and reading it, and I got super excited because, again, I was like, I feel like you guys should be dropping the cover by now, based on what the cover reveal or the release date is, and they finally did. So this is when I will likely have pre-ordered. They dropped the cover for Go Tell the Bees I Am Gone. I honestly, like, I don't want to say stop paying attention, but like, I was just like, there's no point in like heavily following the Outlander series anymore at this point. I'm so many seasons behind on the TV show that I'm just waiting for it to finish so that I know what I'm getting into, and then I will handle it and like tackle it. And then she was just like, I don't know, I'm writing the book, it'll come out when it comes out. And I was like, are we gonna have another George R.R. Martin situation here? Like, not likely, but she takes her time writing books. But they dropped the cover and they were like, I think it's coming out in November or December this year. So I think I prefer the North American cover, but they're both fairly similar. I think it's for like the sake of consistency because I have all of them in hardcover already, the North American covers, that I like the blue, the lighty royally blue with the yellow bee in the middle. I think that's really cute. Sorry, I need to eat. I'm addicted to them. Honestly, I've invested too much time and money into the Outlander series to not keep reading it, so I don't even like read the summaries anymore. So I genuinely don't even know what time point we're at in the book anymore, but I'll buy it and read it. They dropped both the US and the UK copy of the cover for Blood of the Chosen. I actually think I prefer the UK copies of this book, but I have somehow never read anything by Django Wexler. And the cost of international shipping his books, because I almost bought it from Goldsboro a few times. And it was like, I don't know if it's worth $50. Like, and so I actually like the UK copies, but I also like the North American ones. I saw it in the bookstore and I was like, I'm okay just getting the North American copies of this. So I have book one. I somehow haven't read it yet. But the second book came out and was like, nah, get your shit together. So it's on I actually physically put it on one of my TBRs for the months of this year. So I will be reading it, and then I'm going to try and read it pretty close to when the second book comes out. And that way it'll come out and I can either be like, immediately you need to buy it, or you don't have to think about this series anymore. But I really like the North American. I like both of the covers, but I think the North American one is the one that's, just because I own it, is the one I'm going to pay attention to. They dropped, again, the US and the UK covers for 7 Mercies by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb, I think it is. I have not read book 1 yet because the physical copies in Canada are expensive, like overly expensive. It's another one of those books where I was like, did you pay the author $1 million advance or something like that? Like, why are you charging this much money? In addition to the fact that books are just generally like really expensive in Canada for the most part, it's like on the upper end even of that spectrum. So I was like, what is this? I've never read either of the authors. So I'm like, I'm not spending like $45 on a YA sci-fi. Like, that's astronomically just overpriced. And I just haven't got to it from the library yet. But the sequel cover dropped and I was like, God damn it. Like, and then it came out, the cover dropped and several people were like, hey, have you read this yet? I was waiting to hear what your thoughts on book 1 were. And I was like, no, I haven't. Thanks for making me feel guilty. So I'm hoping to get to at least book 1 ASAP, but the sequel cover dropping made me even more hyped up. I was also curious because I didn't see really anyone buy it, a big point being the price point, and there was just like no marketing or anything attached to it. So I was like, I'm gonna wait because I have a feeling they're gonna change the covers between books. So pleasantly surprised that they didn't. I need to get my shit together and read the first book because it looks like a very me sort of book. They finally dropped the cover for The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. I'm so excited. I read book 1. It's so good. It's such a trippy book, but it's so good. If you like Sebastian de Castell's, like, not necessarily his comedic writing, but like kind of the world he develops, I think this is one that you should give a try. They're not identical by any means, but Send in a Sense is such a weird, interesting, like quirky, I don't know, book. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was waiting to read the whole series until I knew when the final book was going to come out, and the cover finally dropped. I think it's December this year that it's coming out, and I'm so excited. And then, like, literally like a week ago from when I'm filming this, yeah, like last week, Audible had like a sale on for members where everything was like $5 or so, $5, $6, $7. And I already owned book 1 on audiobook, but books 2 and 3 went on sale for like $6 and $7 a piece. So I grabbed those. So I have basically at least the audiobooks of them. And I really like the actual covers of the series. I think they're kind of simple, but they're very like adult fantasy, kind of make me think of Sebastian de Castell, a little bit similar to the Greatcoats series that he has. So I was like, once that one comes out, I think I want to try and actively collect them all in paperback. They dropped the UK cover for Jadefire Gold, and I've never been so internally conflicted on which cover of a book to buy, because the US one is very cool, and normally I'm very much like team UK covers, but the US one is like, it looks like a video game-ish manga kind of cover. Is so cool. It's so cool. I love it. But the UK one is actually also really cool. I love the orange and the yellow and then this sword down the middle. I like the typeset. I like everything about the font. I'm so internally conflicted. So don't know which one. I'm also, again, I was like, I want to buy both of them, but then my brain is like, well, don't pre-order anything right now. Because I'm waiting and like I've applied to jobs and maybe, you know, whatever. I was like, if I'm moving, I don't want to be actively buying things. And like, but I really want, even though it's a YA fantasies and those haven't been hitting, I just really, really want this book. So I don't know if you have a strong stance on US or UK, please tell me why, and maybe that'll help. And then the cover for Witchlings drop. I think the author herself was the one who designed this. Honestly, I really, really liked Ghost Squad by this author. And the cover of this just, oh, I love that we've like geared, we've finally gotten it through the brains of publishers that stock photo book covers are not really what we're not auto buying those things. It's covers that have an illustrator hired for them that are like proper designed. I'm willing to drop money on those books. So this is just adorable. And it looks, again, it's on its own, but it gives me like kind of like Precious Moments vibes, you know? Like I don't know how else to explain it. And I feel like I don't even think Precious Moments is right. I attach Precious Moments to like sentiments of when I had growing up, you know? So yeah, this is just so cute. I love the color concept. The pinks and the purples and the bright blues. Oh, that's my aesthetic. That's very my aesthetic. And it just looks really cute and fun and adorable. And I want it. May. God, I feel like May was the shit show month where like every cover in the history of the planet got revealed. Magic Steeped in Poison. Whoever in the hell designed this book cover gets a million awards. And whatever publisher let this come in. The fact that there are books that cut covers as gorgeous as this. I was like, I know I read the summary when the cover reveal got dropped because it stopped me in my tracks. But I'm like, the fact that someone gets covers like this and then other authors get the cover of Glitch Kingdom is like, oh, unfair, offensive on every capacity. It's so pretty. It's so gorgeous. It looks like fan art done to like make a print of, not like they're going to put it on like things. I feel like they always try and make these like have some details but keep it relatively simple, so you can like notice what the cover title and whatever is on the shelf and not just be like, oh, that's pretty art and walk away, right? And like, oh, every piece of this cover, I was literally like, I don't care if you're in the middle of moving at this point when this comes out, which unlikely because I think it comes out in 2022, but like, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Travelers Along the Way. I knew that this series was coming out. They're like remixing classics, and I know there's one that has come out, and maybe it comes out today. It comes out very, very, very soon if it's not today. It's a retelling of Little Women, and I was like, well, that's fun. Honestly though, like, I'm exhausted of Little Women. I don't know that I ever actually read Little Women, though, to be fair to you. I'm like, I don't know that I appreciate remixes of this series, but I'm like, I don't know what elements are being remixed for the most part, or what's, like, parallel. Because I think I watched a play when I was, like, 6 years old. We had to go for school. And I just remember being like, what the fuck, she died? And that was the first, like, trauma of my life. And then I saw the movie with Emma Watson in it, and like that's kind of like all my knowledge of it. So I know that they're doing that, and then there's one coming out called like Clash of the Steel, I think, and I think it's a Treasure Island remix, which very curious on that one because I definitely read that growing up. And this one is a Robin Hood retelling, which I want it so bad. I don't know what in this cover, like, got that reaction from me, but, like, I have goosebumps about it. I can't explain. I don't know why. And I feel like this is a perfect example of making a cover look kind of old and, like, leaning into the fact that it's, like, a classical, but then, like, kind of updating it and modernizing it. I can't explain exactly why, but that's just, like, oh, I want this book so bad. I was, like, aware that a Robin Hood retelling was coming, but something about the cover made me, like, jerk of, like, I have to pre-order it somewhere. So that's something that's gonna happen. I desperately want this book so bad. The Reckless Kind. I was kind of watching this book ever since it got announced, and I was like, is anything gonna happen with it? And I wasn't totally sure what kind of cover we were gonna get. It's, like, it's a queer historical fiction set in Norway, and I was like, ooh. Everything about that is me. Interest peaked. And then they dropped the cover. And it reminds me a little bit of, is it the Mercies? Right? The UK Mercies? I feel like that's what it's called, right? It reminded me a little bit of the Mercies. And like, I don't know, I just got really excited about it. I don't know, it's a queer historical fiction set in Norway. I get excited about any historical fiction that has any queer rep in it and set in somewhere that is not England or Paris or the United States. So I don't think I'll buy this, but this is definitely a physical copy at least. But this is one that I would definitely buy an audio copy or try and get it through the library. So this is one I'm definitely going to read. Then they dropped the cover for Luminous, and whatever like good deed Mara Rutherford did in a past life to get 3 really pretty covers, like I'd like to know what that is, because like that energy needs to be passed on and shared. I love these. It's so it makes me like, it gives like elements of classics, like a carving statue and everything, and then it just like hovering and then having like the light in the background, like it just everything. Maybe I don't know if it's both the colors as well as like just actual design. Everything about this looks really cool. Really cool. It's very different from her Crowns of Coral and Pearl duology, though those were really pretty covers too. But like this just like, it stopped me in my tracks as soon as I saw it. It's gorgeous. I can't wait. This is one that I may break on my like, you haven't been liking YA, so don't pre-order anything. I'd be like, screw it, even if it sucks. It's a really pretty cover. The Woman of Troy. I didn't know that there was another book of this coming out, and I honestly just last year heard about The Silence of the Girls. I had never heard of it before, and this is essentially like a continuing of, I don't think it's necessarily labeled as a sequel, but it's like a continuing of the Iliad and the Odyssey, the Iliad and Odyssey time. So the first book I'm planning actually on reading in August. My friend bought me the book, and they gave the first book a cover to match this book. But I think you're supposed to be able to read them kind of both on their own. But this one is like, the Greeks have pissed off the gods with everything that they did at the end of the Trojan War. And now there's no wind, so they can't sail home from Troy. And the women that are still around, the Trojan women, kind of get together and are trying to like plot. So the cover just like it stopped me, and I was like, what is this? What is this? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, there's another book in this series. Like, oh, maybe I should work on Sounds of the Girls. And then I got a copy of Sounds of the Girls for my birthday. So, it's all working out really well for timing. And I just like this whole, like, I think this, again, it's very well designed that it kind of leans into, like, being a bit a classical time period. You see the Trojan horse, so you immediately know what it is. You see the women kind of huddling around it. So it piqued my interest, and I'm very incredibly curious about this. It made me want to be like, oh, I really hope I love The Silence of the Girls. I'll read it ASAP so that I can get this. And I wanted to own it physically. So then the cover for Roxy came out, and this is the smartest cover title printing I've seen like in a really long time. It's about the opioid epidemic. Niall Schusterman. The whole Scythe series is so good. And then Dry is like, oh, it made me so uncomfortable. It's a really good book. And so this is him and his son, I think's newest book together that they wrote Dry together. And it's about the opioid epidemic and keeping and putting the RX the way like, what's the word for it? Is like, it's, not your receipt. That's not the right word. Your prescription, like RX is, always on that stuff. I would have never thought to do that. I was even wondering if there's a way that they could have like made, if there was a way they could have like made it diagonally, like that's the only thing I could think of. But I was also like, I don't know how you would do that, having the falling pills, and the people, but having like the R and then maybe making the X go down so that it would be the X here, so it would be RX rather than having X here. Either way, the color, love this purpley blue with the reddish orange, is so cool. And then having the falling, I don't know why I'm showing this to you, and then having the falling pills, is so cool. And I like that they've, even with like the ombre, everything is going top down. So all of the, with your eye line, everything kind of knows it's going in the same direction. I love that. And I think it kind of also ties into whole like drug addictions and kind of the downfall that can have for a lot of people, especially prescription ones. So, prescription, that's the word I was looking for. God. Anyways, I'm so excited about this one. That is one that I will most definitely get a physical copy of it. I had never heard of this book, and I just randomly saw the cover on my Twitter and was like, what? What is that? The Girl with the Hickory Heart by Lauren Nicole Taylor. That looks like some like Digimon shit, not Digimon, Dragon Ball Z shit for, no, it's not Dragon Ball Z. What anime or what cartoon am I thinking of? It looks like a show I watched as a kid on YTV. What that show was is gone from my brain, but the cover, oh, I want it. It makes me think a little bit of Jadefire and Steel, the US cover, and like, it's gorgeous. And The Last Airbender, that's what I was thinking of. The Last Airbender series, that's what it reminds me of. And I reminded that because I finally pulled up the summary here. It's Mulan meets The Last Airbender, and I was like, that is not a combination I ever thought of, but like, yes, I would like that. Thank you very much. Delilah Green Doesn't Care. There are not a ton of romances like on my radar for the most part for the next year or so. Because I mean, Helen Huang doesn't have any, at least they haven't announced any new publication deal with her. And The Heart Principle comes out in August. So I'm like, okay, like that's the one that I'm really watching for. And then like I'll be waiting for the last, The League of Extraordinary Women series from Evie Dunmore, the fourth and final book. But like that's kind of it. Like, that's it. And then Ashley Herring Blake dropped this beast of a cover. It's so pretty. Hey, how dare you? How dare you? Oh my god, the color, the lilac-y, purpley. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Just that solid background color. It doesn't look unfinished. It just like focuses on the two girls in the front. And I love them. I love that couple already. I can't explain. I love them already, and I'm for them. Also really excited that she's coming out with an adult book. I've read her. No, I don't think I've ended up reading any of her YA stuff. It all sounded really dark and heavy, and I was like, I don't think I can read that book, but I'll take all your words and your reviews on it that it's a really good book. And then her middle grade books, I've read 2 of them, and then I own the 3rd one. So I was like, I saw this, and I was like, oh, maybe it'll be a little bit more light and fun, and it'll be kind of a new thing for her to write, but also new for the adult genre. So I will buy it. That is when I will have auto-ordered, pre-ordered. Probably the trade paperback. I'm gonna guess it's coming out in trade paperback and not a hardcover, and I just love that. Then the 3rd cover for the Brandon Sanderson series, where did it go? Skyward. The 3rd Skyward book. I didn't know we were getting it this quickly. I feel like I vaguely every once in a while check up on his he shows up on my Instagram, and he does like work in progress updates. Like he'll show a picture on like a status bar of like the books he's working on and like estimated finish dates. And I feel like earlier this year I saw one where it was like, don't expect it until 2023 or something along that lines. Or maybe it was for a different title and I was just mixing it up. But I was under the impression we were not getting anything this year. We would be lucky if we got it in 2020, but that was not likely to happen. Then it was like, yeah, this is coming at the end of 2021. I was like, what? I still haven't I didn't read the 2nd book yet because I saw the estimated date for the 3rd book and was like, well, I guess I'll hold off so that I don't have to sit there hanging. And I love, this is one of the rare series where I not only do I like prefer the US one instead of the UK one, I kind of actively dislike the UK one. They all look too similar. Like they don't look like sequels. They look kind of like the same cover, just a slight tweak on them. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. And they're dark and grungy, and like I just like the North American ones way better. And so Cytonic, is that how you say it? Very excited for this. This is going to be one that, despite it being a YA, it is going to be June is also expensive. I need to marry someone or like inherit a mass fortune from an unknown relative who's like a European king or something, and I'm the only blood relative left. Actually, that wouldn't even make sense because I have siblings, so I couldn't be the only blood relative left. Unless my parents come up with a weird, elaborate situation that happened. Anyways, June, The Marvelers dropped, and like, I haven't read anything about Danielle Clayton, actually, but the series for this, it's her middle grade fantasy series, it got announced, and I was like, ooh. And I think everywhere it was being pitched was like, this is an alternative for Harry Potter from an author of color, and there's not going to be transphobia attached to the author, which, you know, it's not a high bar, but it's a bar we've had to set. And then the cover dropped for this, and I just love, I don't know how to explain it, but everything looks kind of like it's in motion with like the just how it was drawn and like kind of foggy smoke blurring effect. It looks so cool. And again, you've got the purple and the blues and the oranges and these ombreing. Looks so pretty. And The Marvelers is a really good name. That is an excellent name for a book, especially a middle grade book. I am absolutely going to be pre-ordering this one. I don't care that I haven't read the author's shit before. I do not care. I don't care. I want to read this book so badly. And if I can find something that is comparable to like Nevermore or Keeper of the Lost Cities, then awesome, because like those middle grade series have just like owned my existence for the last like year and a half. They're so good. Then the cover for One for All came out. I did not know this was coming. I didn't see the book announcement for this one. It is a gender-bent Three Musketeers retelling, and the main character has disabilities. And I was like, there are not a ton of books out there that have main characters, little and side characters with like disabilities. And the whole swapping of Three Musketeers, very interested. Very, very, very interested. That's the original reason that I read, was it Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim? And like, and the cover is so cool that like, I don't know what happened in this. Maybe it was just like, the stars aligned, but like the amount of well illustrated covers this month, astounding in the greatest of ways. This is a really good cover, an excellent cover. One for All, also a really good title name for a Three Musketeers retelling. Like, I'm so excited for this one. Another one, I know it's YA fantasy. I know YA fantasies haven't worked for me in the last few years. I do not care. I'm going to buy this. Whether that's a digital or a physical copy, I'll decide closer to the date. But I want this. The Symmetry of Stars dropped. I didn't know Alex Meyer had another book coming out. Alex Meyer, I have The Stories of Silence from this author. It's only one book. I just bought 2 editions because they had different spines because I'm trash for this. And this was Transgender Own Voices King Arthur retelling. And this is a retelling of, is it Donatello? What's it? There's a retelling of something. Hold on, let me find it. The Italian legend of Orlando Furioso at the starting point. So, I'm gonna guess it's also gonna be queer in some capacity. And everything about that cover is beautiful. And however, I am annoyed though, because I got one of these through Goldsboro, and because of the spine or the pages, and I was like, yes. And then I got an email being like, for fans, if you liked that, know that we're doing a special edition for his new book. And I was like, awesome, excited. This cover has like all of these stars all over it. It's beautiful, and the spine is just gonna be plain purple. Why wouldn't you put stars on it? Or like a Milky Way or something? This kind of is incredibly underwhelming, considering how pretty the cover is. Anyways, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy the Goldsboro edition because I don't think the pages are worth it. But maybe I'll watch for, I don't remember who was it. Was it The Lonely Planet or something like that? It's another UK bookstore. Was the one who did this edition. So maybe I'll watch and see what they can make for it if they do a special edition, because I definitely want to read it, and I definitely want to buy it and own it. And the Bone Shard Emperor, this is equal to the Bone Shard Daughter. I know some people, here it is. I know some people were upset because it's slightly, like everything's in a slightly different spot in, it matches with the trade paperback edition of the first book and not the hardcover edition, and I believe Goldsboro ended up saying they're not doing a special edition of the sequel to match this, so some people were upset, especially considering how pretty these keys were. It'd be so nice to get the sequel. Maybe I'm totally wrong and mixing it up with a different book, but I feel as long as I get it in a hardcover, I'll be totally fine. As long as they're the same height. They're fairly similar. There's just a few slight differences, and they're so minor that I could definitely be like, it's a sequel. It's not supposed to be the exact same cover as the first one. It's a sequel. It's supposed to be similar, not identical. I'm totally fine with this. And I like that color with compared to like the red on this one and then like the tealy blue on the second one. I love it. Love it so much. And that we're still leaning into the whole dragons and stone thing. I feel like that's kind of the theme, is stone and a cutout. And it's still giving me that with the sequel. So I'm very excited for this one. as if I didn't love Veronica Speed well enough, which I thought this was ending at 7 books, but I commented on Deanna Rayborn's Instagram post when she dropped this cover, and I was like, oh no, is this the last book? And she said no, and I was like, what? So I don't know if she's going to continue self-publishing or going to get another extension on the contract the way she did, because I think it was originally just supposed to be 5 books. I don't know. But as if I didn't love this series with my whole heart and body and mind, they had to go and make it purpley pink, which is like my favorite color. I'm so excited. Then the cover for Ecstasia dropped. I'm generally not a big like follower of YA horror, but like I remember reading Sawhill Girls by Claire Legrand, and I really enjoyed that book, actually. I know some people who are big fans of horror didn't, but as someone who is not generally, I actually really did like that one. And the cover of this one stopped me in my track on my timeline. I can't believe it's illustrated. It looks so smooth and detailed that I'm like, that has to be a photo. Like, I'm blown away by that. It's a beautiful cover, and it gives me kind of The Ring vibes. Just maybe it's the girl with the long black stringy hair, but I'm curious. Not one that I think I'll pre-order necessarily, but I'm gonna read it, definitely. In whatever way I do read it, I will read it. Another one, never heard of this or the author or even the person that it's based off. KK? I'm probably saying that totally wrong. I'm so sorry. But it's a retelling of this woman from India. Hold on. The cover just got me so curious. I was like, what is this? What is this about? Like, it's clearly an adult, like, historical fiction or fantasy. Like, what is this? Like, what is it? And it's in the vein of Madeline Miller's Cersei comes a bold and sweeping reimagining of the life of Kayeyi. I'm so sorry, I'm not saying that right. I'm so sorry. The vilified queen from the Indian epic Ramayana. I was born on the full moon under an auspicious constellation and holiest of positions. Much good it did to me. So begins her story that a young woman determined to create her own destiny in a world where gods and men dictate the shape of things to come. But as she transforms herself from an overlooked princess into a warrior, diplomat, and most favored queen, she clashes with the path that has been chosen for her by her family. And she must decide if the resistance is worth the destruction it will wreak. That sounds so good. And I don't know enough about anything pertaining to like Indian literature whatsoever. It is a giant hole, I will fully admit, in my reading habits. And I feel like the only thing that I'm actively reading that has anything to do with anything within Indian history, literature, mythology is The Tiger at Midnight, and that's finished. I'll be finishing the last of the series next month. So this is what I'm going to be picking up. And the cover just, I don't know, I think maybe I'm just trash for like a silhouette. I'm also a big fan of like women going against the grain and women who have been vilified in history. When I found out what actually happened to Medusa, and I was like, hold up. We made this woman a villain because she turned people to stone and totally ignored what happened to her before that to cause that? I am not a member of the V.E. Schwab cult, but I do not hate any of the books that she has put out. So I wasn't necessarily going to auto-buy this no matter what, but like the cover, a whole like globe and like everything about this I want. And the colors having like that burnt like scrolly looking color, that burnt orangey beige, and then having the blues and the reds in this cover is gorgeous. It looks so creepy and weird, but so interesting, and it's like caught my attention, and I'm like, and lastly, Good Rich People. The title of that piqued my interest, and this is from Eliza something. I can't remember the author's name. I have never read anything by this author before, but I know they had a book kind of last year called like If I Disappear or something like that. I know it didn't get a ton of great reviews, but this has my interest piqued. It makes me kind of think of Stepford Wives almost, with like the headless bodies. I can't quite explain. The title has me piqued, as well as the cover. It's just caught my attention for some reason, and I can't explain why, because I've not been able to. Something that isn't like illustrated the way like Delilah Green or The Marvelers, books in this video you've seen. I have a very specific interest and type of cover that catches my eye. This is not like any of those, so I don't know why it's catching my eye specifically, but there's something about it, the cover and the title, that has just made me, I'm gonna watch for this one. And again, this would be one that I don't know why exactly. I want to get an arc of it, so I will watch for it to pop up on NetGalley. I'm sorry if this is a long video. I can't imagine how long it's gonna take me to edit this stuff down, but those are the covers that came out in April, May, and June that caught my interest, either to read arcs, pre-order, get from the library, or just wait to hear general reviews on the actual content, but they've caught my eye in some capacity. So let me know if any of these books are new to you, or if I missed any covers that you think I should pay attention to. And I don't know, we'll see how this format of the video is compared to the tier ranking and see where we go after this. But yeah, fine. I will link these books in the description box down below. It's going to take forever to do, but I will do it. I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. Stay safe, especially with all the fires and everything going on, and flooding. Oh my god. If you need something to get you through the emotional shitstorm that is the world, I highly recommend the dark chocolate sea salt craft snack snappers. They're pretzels that are kind of tied together in the middle. Costco Canada also sells these mini biscottis that are limoncello flavored, that like the snack game that Costco has, like illegal how good that shit is. Anyways, I'll see you all next Tuesday for probably be an August TBR, and go from there.